Hello, welcome to Local Edition. I'm Leslie Leyton. Cars and bikes aren't always a good match out on the roadways, but a little education can go a very long way in promoting safety for everyone. And with us now is the Mayor of Newport Beach, Nancy Gardner, and she's here to talk about what they're doing in the city of Newport Beach to make it a little safer out there on the roadways.
We all know that you can't legislate completely against stupidity, and people are going to drive and text or something, and unfortunately accidents will happen from that. But there are things that a city can do, and 3 years ago we formed a task force to look at bike safety and give us some ideas as to how we could better promote cycling as a safe sport, a good sport for kids as well as for grown-ups in our city.
And this is something you're looking at. I know that a lot of drivers are thinking, oh, cyclists, just get out of my way. And a lot of cyclists are just thinking, I only have this much room to get past, be considerate of me too. So how do you take everyone's needs into consideration and make safety awareness happen?
Well, one of the first things I think is to educate, always. And if you're like I am, my experience with bicycles was at about age of 5 or so. I got to my two-wheeler and my father ran along behind me and finally let go and I wobbled off, and that was the last of my bike instruction.
Sure.
You know, I didn't have bike ed, I had driver's ed. So we have our police going into schools and doing rodeos, so kids are such sponges. So we're just bringing up a new generation of better trained cyclists, for one thing. We reach out to the bike clubs and say, hey guys, you got to obey the rules. You know, you can't be flying through those stop signs. You've got to come to a complete stop. So we want them.
Well, for those of us who aren't in elementary school anymore and aren't in a bike club, just give us some basic rules of bicycle safety as a cyclist, what we need to be aware of.
I think what the important thing is, first of all, yes, you have the same rights in many ways as a car does to a road, and we'll talk about Cheryl's in a second, but you have the same responsibilities then. So if you want that right, then you have to obey all the signals. You have to stop at the signals. You have to stop at the stop signs. You should signal when you turn. You should never ride on the wrong way because cars aren't looking for you there. Riding on the sidewalk, people think they're safer, but again, many times we see accidents happening because the driver's not looking for a bicycle coming that way, makes the turn, boom. The conflict has happened.
What do you say to the drivers who, okay, sometimes I'll be driving and there really is very little space and I see a cyclist next to a parked car. Should I slow down completely behind the cyclist? What if you can't get into the other lane?
Well, the California Vehicle Code states that where there is no dedicated bike lane, a bicycle has the same right to that right lane as you do. And one of the things that we're doing and other cities are doing are sharrows. I don't know if you can see this, but there's be a better thing. The sharrows are just painted on the sidewalk, a sign that says basically share the road. What they want to do is get bicycles out of the strike zone because like on Coast Highway in Corona Del Mar, the cars are parked parallel, people get out of their car without looking, the car hits the bike door and that sort of thing. So we want to get that cleared, but we also want to inform motorists that don't get too impatient. You both have to share that lane. We don't want, you can't ride 3 abreast as a bicyclist and take up the whole lane, but you do have a right to progress safely through there when there's no bike lane.
So what are some of the things that the task force is going to do, put into action?
Well, we've already created a brochure. This is obviously seen as been around a bit, but safety guidelines for both adults and children, some very simple things. And then we're creating a map which gives alternate routes. If you're a family, you don't want to go on Coast Highway. At least I wouldn't as a family. And you can go to that online map and say, oh, green is family friendly. And this leads us to, say, the Back Bay or Crystal Cove or someplace where you don't have the conflict.
So these maps will really help bikers of all levels and will be available online. Newport Beach at the forefront of bicycle safety
at least part
and
of
changes. Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for being here. And thank you for joining us. I'm Leslie Leyton.